Hey everybody, we're back with another Sax Player Reacts video. Today we're going to be looking at a Phil Woods solo over Billie's Bounce, classic Charlie Parker blues, and talking about all the cool stuff that he does over this particular tune. This is from his album called Just Friends. It's actually another drumless trio, which is what we did our last video on, only with Stan Getz. So I don't know why I'm picking all drumless trios with saxophone, but it's just working out that way so far. But without further ado, let's dive into the solo, listen to this thing together. All right, so first of all, thank you to Luca Rizzo for transcribing this solo. All right, here we go. I like the arrangement right off the bat. It's mostly just Phil Woods playing solo. And then the whole band comes in on the second chorus. Love it. His articulation is just so interesting. There's a little nod to Charlie Parker. Ooh, very bluesy. All right, so here's something that he does that's really, really effective. So the first chorus of his solo, he's using a lot of what I would call a bluesy sound, meaning that he's using that minor third a lot. We talked about this a lot on the Stan Getz transcription. So, he starts out with this sort of nod to Charlie Parker here because this is a line that Bird plays a lot. But then you'll notice that he's using that, leaning on that F natural. This is a D blues for him. So that's really connotating the blues the entire time. And he even sort of carries that through into the 2-5-1. He's sort of playing across the 2-5-1 with a blues kind of feeling, a blues kind of sound. He's also using this really cool motive over and over again. And then what he does in the second chorus is he starts to actually follow the changes a little bit more. And you notice over the D chords, he's actually using F sharp, which gives the playing a completely different feeling than when you are using that F natural. So it sounds a little bit more bebopish. He's following the actual harmony a little bit more closely, which gives it a completely different feeling. So I love the way that these first two choruses kind of play off of each other. Bluesy feeling, kind of playing over the top of the changes without concerning himself too much of every single chord. And then in the second chorus, he sort of goes a little bit more into bebop mode, and we can actually hear those changes in his playing. All right, so let's continue with the solo. Man, check out those really wide intervals. What a cool chorus. Oh. All right, we got to look at this. We got to look at this real quick. So first of all, I want you to notice that he's really using all of these super, super interesting intervals here, right? He starts out by using a fourth, and then he's using a fifth, and then a third, and then he jumps 2 octaves down to really, really keep your interest happening here. And then he's using like full-on bebop stuff as he gets toward measure 8, which is where the 3-6 happens before the 2-5. And you can see at this point, he's really, really weaving his way in and out of the changes, using a lot of chromaticism, using flat 9s, sharp 5, all that kind of stuff. So he's really getting into that more specific kind of bebop sound at this point. Now, what he starts doing in this next chorus, every time there's an X, that's kind of notating the fact that he's actually using an overtone. And this is one of those things that can really make like a repeated note phrase, like all those C's in a row or those B's or B flats. It can really make it stand out. And what he's basically doing is whenever there's an X, he's using the overtone off of the low C fingering in order to get a middle C. Now, this really requires a mastery of the instruments. And you know that teachers have told you over the years, practice your overtones, practice your harmonic series. This is exactly why. This shows you what you can do when you've mastered that control of your instrument. You could do really cool stuff like this, where he's switching back and forth between a regular C and the same C, but fingering it with the low C fingering and using the octave overtone to give it a completely different tone quality. Really, really adds to the sound. Let's listen to that again. Here we go. Beautiful. Masterful double time playing. Man, the level of confidence with which he plays his double time is just so impressive. Whoa, all right, so talk about motivic development. Even while he's doing these crazy double time lines, look, he busts into this really cool motive. So here he starts the phrase on beat 2. Here he does a little pickup to the phrase and starts it on beat 2 again, making it sound just a tiny bit different. Here he does the exact same thing, but then he carries it over the bar line into another statement of that same motive. And then here he's starting in a completely different part of the measure. Now he's starting on and of 3, playing the motive again, but then kind of putting a bow on it by working that 4-note motive all the way down until he wants to end the phrase in the second to last bar. Pure genius. So if you ever thought motivic development didn't also exist when you were playing these crazy 16th note lines, think again. Showing off his flexibility of being able to bend that pitch as far as he wants to. Yeah, really cool. And then he ends the first part of his solo on the 9th, which I love that resolution. Just makes it sound not as final as it would be if he picked one of the 4 chord tones, 1, 3, 5, or 7. So it just gives you this nice little rub at the end of the first part of his solo. So let's skip over all these other solos and we'll pick up where he comes in again. You hear him pick up on the bass player's phrase and start using what the bass player was playing to come back in. Woo! Talk about listening. That motivic development again too. He's using 3 notes, but he's using rhythm to make it interesting. Woo! All right, we gotta check out what he's doing here, because that is just awesome. All right, so let's figure out what he's playing here. Okay, so the first thing I see is an E diminished. Then I see an F sharp diminished, A flat diminished, B flat diminished, C diminished, D diminished. Yeah, so he's using all these diminished 7th chords, and they are a step apart from each other. And he's just playing them across these 3 measures, not worrying about what's actually happening with the harmony. What you hear is this. You don't even really hear the harmony, but then it's the way that he comes out of it and lands everything in bar 5 that makes you not even notice that he wasn't actually playing over any of these chords. He was just doing this simple pattern going up these diminished chords. That is just so cool. We got to hear that again. Whew. Back to the blues material. Very bluesy. Back to the double time. Wow. What a solo. That last little chorus there is just like ridiculous. Starts off super, super simple, as swinging as possible. And he just shows us what kind of flexibility he has as a musician. And one thing that I think I like maybe best about this solo is just the amount of attitude throughout. Like, Phil Woods plays the saxophone just with so much grease and grime and oomph, and just makes you feel good. His playing is just so many things at once, intensely specific and really, really impressive, while at the same time just being like totally expressive, bluesy, and kind of almost like rude is the word that comes to mind when I think about his playing sometimes. Just an all-around absolute master musician. Love this recording. Love the drumless group again. I think he plays in kind of a different way when there's no drums there, kind of kicking him in the butt. And it's interesting to hear the difference between this recording and maybe another recording that does have drums on it. So hope you enjoyed this video. I know I enjoyed going through it. I would definitely take that diminished line and work that out. Try to put that over the first 4 bars of the blues. That's definitely something I'm going to do. And the second thing I think I'm going to do is really take his lesson on a blues sound versus a bebop sound, and how can we get both of those sounds into our playing in a way that they can really, really work together. Those are really my 2 takeaways from this particular solo. So thanks for watching. If you have anything else to say, anything that I skipped over in the solo, leave a comment below. Let's start a discussion, and I will talk to you guys soon. Hope you're all doing well. Bye.